So the first 5 episodes of House of the Dragon were a complete waste of time. Let's talk about why. Hey guys, I'm Karl. Welcome to my movie film show. Feel free to subscribe down below if you would like to, but today we're here to talk about episode 6 of House of the Dragon. Yes, we're 6 episodes into the show now. It feels like only yesterday that started. Well, not really. I've been up and down with this show. I was disappointed at the beginning, then I started to enjoy the show more and more and more. And even episode 5, I was saying the show was really kicking into gear. It was really getting good. I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next. Although I did know this jump in time was coming forward. Now we've been given our second jump forward in time in this series. I think it was around episode 3 where we jumped forward 3 years. And now we've jumped 10 years into the future. Even to the point where they need new actors and new actresses for everybody. Apart from the king. And for some reason Kristen, which is kind of weird that he looks the exact same. I find it weird they made such a big jump in the series, mainly because that's something they do in a second season or a third season. Have such a big jump in the show, it's quite strange. It basically means, as I said at the beginning, that the first 5 episodes were unnecessary. Sure, some of it was cool and some of it was good to set up and we've got some background to the story going forward now, but how much of that was actually relevant to what we're going to see? How much of it could have been shown in flashbacks or in other ways in the future? You've also got the point now where we have all these characters who have these grudges from 10 years ago. If someone's carrying on about a problem they had 10 years ago, 10 years in the future, it's kind of pathetic. But in saying that, and that little rant about how it's effectively made the first 5 episodes redundant, I did quite enjoy episode 6. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to wrap your head around. There's a whole new set of characters to get involved with. There's a load of kids in the show now, and it might be hard to remember who everybody is going forward. There's a new Joffrey for some reason. It's not the same Joffrey as Game of Thrones, of course, couldn't possibly be, but they just decided to throw in another Joffrey, I guess, to be like, hey, remember Joffrey? He was something. Played by Jack Gleeson, who I believe is an Irishman. But yeah, episode 6 did a good job in itself of setting up for the future. There was a lot happening. Big tension between Alicent and Rhaenyra right from the beginning. One of the squelchiest giving birth scenes of all time in the history of television and movies kicked off the episode. That was something. We've seen more dragons. We saw 2 Dracarys in it. To the point now where they're almost making Dracarys an even bigger thing than it was in Game of Thrones. It was a cool little throw in before, and now it seems to happen a lot. But of course there's more dragons around, so you know, I guess people are using dragons as you would a lighter nowadays, or a box of matches. I saw something fairly recently, I think it was with IndieWire or somewhere like that, where they titled their article something along the lines of the Game of Thrones, or the chase for the Game of Thrones, or the chase for the Iron Throne is boring when everybody's evil. And I get the point, because, you know, I don't really know who I'm supposed to root for going forward. Like, Alicent shows remorse for her actions, but also she's trying to do right by her son, I guess. The king is just happy making sandcastles. Rhaenyra, I'm not quite sure if she's supposed to be the good guy or the bad guy or what she is. And then Matt Smith similarly seemed like he was going to be the big bad guy at the beginning. He does manipulate things around, but he hasn't really been super evil so far. So who are we supposed to root for? I guess it's open to interpretation, open to opinion, and everybody can take sides. Episode 6 had so much happening in it, but the big thing comes at the end with the supposed death of certain characters. We saw that they were locked in the house was on fire, they were screaming. You never know with TV. They might keep a character alive and charged somehow, or they might be gone and it's a big shock, which is going to spark an entire war. Who knows with Game of Thrones? It'll be certainly interesting to see what happens in episode 7. Maybe there'll be more children being given birth to, because there was 2 birthing scenes in this one in the first episode as well. They seem to love just doing those for the sake of it. The one thing I think the show does need going forward, and I'm sure it will get, is more action. And maybe that's just me wanting more action, more things all the time, and things be going a mile a minute. But I would like to see overall a bit more fighting, a bit more payoff to the setups that we're getting. We got a lot of setups at the end of episode 5 that haven't been paid off 10 years later. I do find myself still enjoying the show, but as I mentioned earlier on, there's a lot to wrap your head around in episode 6, and it does feel like the first 5 episodes were a waste of time. But this is where I throw it over to you guys, because I'd love to know your opinions on episode 6 of House of the Dragon and the series so far, and the new cast additions, because there were certainly a lot of them.